When it goes through Fannie Mae's system, UAD is going to say, hold on a second. A dozen appraisers, including yourself, Mr. Appraiser, called this a C3 in the past, and now you're calling it a C4. Why?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
We're going to talk UAD standards today. I want to pause first to remind you that we are sponsored by DataMaster. DataMaster is the ability for you to save time, 30 to 60 minutes per report. Go to datamasterusa.com for more information. One more time, I'll give that to you. It's datamasterusa.com. A la mode is the efficient way to complete appraisal reports. It's the efficient way to follow UAD. If you do a lot of lender work, UAD is kind of important, which we'll be talking about today. A la mode is the best way to make sure you're getting it done right. alamode.com or 800 a la mode. And we're sponsored today by Working RE Magazine. Working RE is the place that I first learned about UAD standards. That's right. They're on the cutting edge of what's going on in the appraisal profession. Always have been, always will be. WorkingRE.com is where you sign up for their free newsletter. WorkingRE.com. All right, folks, we're going to talk C and Q ratings today, Q and C ratings, UAD. There's a question that's sometimes posed out there, and in fact, I saw it not too long ago on a Facebook page. I was just kind of browsing through the Facebook pages, and an individual asked a question about C ratings, okay, about condition ratings. And specifically, I'm not going to call this person out. I do have the post up in front of me, but I'll just kind of paraphrase what it's a he, what he was asking. He's basically saying, hey, you know, I did an appraisal and I used this sale, and let's say I called it a C3. Right? Or maybe it's let's call it a C4. Okay. It's a C4. And then 2 weeks later, I did another appraisal and I happened to use the same comparable. And my thought is in this report, it should be a C3. Okay. Before I was using it as a C4 and now I want to change it to a C3, but I've heard through the rumor mill that Fannie Mae doesn't like that much, that when you change the C ratings, the Q ratings, that's not a good thing. And he kind of wanted to reach out to the group and get some info. And, kudos to those that commented on the post. They were pretty nice to this individual. Okay. But I think they didn't quite understand. A lot of them didn't quite understand the question. Some of them were saying, yeah, go ahead and change it, but just explain why you changed it. No. You can't do that. Here's why. Okay, here's why. Do quality and conditions change over time? Yes, they can. Can they change over reports? In other words, what you put in this appraisal report versus one you do 2 weeks later, and you use the same comp, and I want to emphasize the same comp, not just the same address, but the same comp. And a comp is defined by the sale date. Okay, and we'll get back to that in just a second. Those C and Q ratings cannot change. Now, can they change if you made a mistake? Absolutely. That's what some of the individuals who were responding meant to say. Okay. Yes, you can change it if, let's say, for example, more information came to light. Let me give you an example. I do a report. I use a comparable on 123 Any Street. That's comparable number 1. Okay. I use it and I'm reading through the description and it's talking about updates and it's talking about this and remodeled kitchen and blah, 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 blah. And I say, that looks like a C3 to me. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm reading the description. Sounds like a C3, looks like a C3, tastes like a C3, smells like a C3. I'm going to call it a C3. And so I put that in my report as a C3. And then let's say a week later, for whatever reason, I have an opportunity to walk through that property. The one, not the subject, but the one that I use, 123 Any Street, the one I used as comparable number 1. For whatever reason, I get the opportunity. Let's say I'm a member of a board of realtors and they have an open house. This thing's up for sale again, blah, 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 whatever. I walk through that property and nothing has been changed since the first sale. But when I get up close and personal, when I actually walk through the place, I realize this is not a C3 at all. This is a C4. Okay, this is a condition 4, not a condition 3. Well, can I go back and change the prior report at this point? No, it's been turned in. It's been uploaded to Fannie Mae. It's done, right? And Fannie Mae has now made a record of that particular comp, and other appraisers out there may have used the same comp. Whether they call it a C3 or a C4, it doesn't matter. Let's say they all call it a C3. Let's say 12 appraisers in the last week and a half have all used 123 Any Street, and based on the description, based on their phone calls to the agency, based on their pictures in the MLS, based on the information from the tax assessor, they have determined that this is a C3. 12 people, you included, called it a C3. A week later, you walk through the property for whatever reason, not that this would be a common thing, but hey, come on, give me the benefit of the doubt. It's hypothetical, right? You walk through the property and you're like, oh boy, this is not a C3. This is a C4. And you talk to the individual that's there, the expert on site, the agent, and we say, hey, this sold about a month ago. And I know it's up for sale again. What have they done to the property since? And he goes, oh no, nothing. Exactly. This is the condition it was in when it sold a month ago. Uh-oh. You just put down a C3 and it's clearly a C4. Now, the temptation is in your next report, when you use 123 Any Street again, you're going to say, oh boy, I've already used C3. I have to stick with C3. I can't use anything but C3. So I'm going to keep it as a C3, even though I know in my heart of hearts that it's a C4. No, folks. You go with the best information available. You can, and appraisers do, when more light comes or is shed on a situation, change their mind. We're really good at changing our mind. Okay, none of us are. Tongue-in-cheek, we're very bad at change. Appraisers are not good at change. But let's say that, hypothetically, you call it a C3. You now know it's a C4. Can you change it on future reports? The answer is yes. Okay, yes. Same sale date. No information has changed. It's just that you now have more information than you had before. You know something now that you did not know before, to quote a famous line from a famous musical. Can you change from a C3 to a C4? The answer is yes, and that's where you need to explain. Because what's going to happen is UAD is going to flag that. When it goes through Fannie Mae's system, UAD is going to say, hold on a second, a dozen appraisers, including yourself, Mr. Appraiser, called this a C3 in the past, and now you're calling it a C4. Why? That's when you need an explanation, okay? And the explanation can be as simple as comparable number 1 at 123 Any Street was used in a prior appraisal report and was called a C3, but due to a walk through the property, more information came to light and it is determined that it is a C4. Therefore, the condition rating is different in this report. That's it. That's all you have to do, okay? And you may still get a letter. Fannie may not pick up on that, okay? But the answer is you absolutely can and should, okay, should change a condition or a quality rating if more information comes to light. However, that was not what this individual on Facebook was asking. It's very clear as you read through their post that nothing had changed as far as their knowledge. They simply wanted to mark a C3 in one spot and a C4 in another spot because it worked better with the subject of the appraisal. Big no-no, folks. Big no-no. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. And I know where the problem stems from, and it's from mistraining. It's from a misunderstanding of, first of all, what UAD is and what it tries to be, okay? And specifically, it has to do with our misunderstanding of why UAD is out there. Now, I am not a big fan of UAD, okay? I will state that right up front. I never was. From the very beginning, I don't like it, whatever. But I do Fannie Mae work. And so they didn't ask me. Yeah, I know. Shocker. They didn't call up the appraiser coach and say, hey, this is Mother May here. Fannie is my first name. And you know, get your mind out of the gutter. That's my name. That's my first name. And I'm calling you because you're the appraiser coach. And I want to know how you feel about this new UAD. Oh, you don't like? Okay, fine. We'll go another direction. I know, folks. Shocker. They didn't do that. I wish they had, but they didn't. I wasn't a big fan of UAD. I'm not a big fan of UAD, but I think, understand UAD. So let me make it very clear. UAD is the approach, or the attempt, rather, for Fannie Mae to standardize conditions and qualities, as well as other things. But today we're talking about Q and C ratings, right? It is their attempt at standardizing. Here's what we, appraisers, okay, I'm going to throw myself under the bus here as well, have done in the past. A lot of us were doing this, and it was the wrong way to do things, and the statute of limitations is passed, so don't even try that, okay? But here's what we used to do, right? We would take a comp, 123 any street, and we'd say, okay, it's good condition, because it's good condition as compared to the subject, which is average condition. If I look at these two comps side by side, then I need to make an adjustment for condition. 123 any street is in better condition, better wear and tear than the subject. I walked through the subject, I got the information for comp 1, and they are clearly different, and I need an adjustment, and I've called the subject average, so I have to call the comp number 1 good. I have to call it good, right? And then I go ahead and make my adjustment, or blah, 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 do my thing, and then 2 weeks later, I use 123 any street again, and let's say that my subject is in now good condition. Okay, this is a different subject, different report, different appraisal. My subject is in good condition, and I look at comp number 1, 123 any street, and it's in worse condition than the subject. The natural thing to do, right? The wrong thing to do, by the way, but the natural thing to do is to say, okay, comp number 1 is in average condition as compared to the subject. Okay, that was the wrong way to do things. And Fannie Mae made it very clear that that's the wrong way to do it. If it was average before, it's average now. If it was good before, it's good now. Now, can things change? Absolutely, but we're talking about different comps at that point. Same address, different comps. Let's go to a break, and then I'll describe what I'm talking about. I want to talk to you about Alamode software. Alamode is I tell you folks, UAD is absolutely a breeze when it comes to Alamode. Why? Because you can set up guides that as you go through the report, it will warn you, it will remind you, it will help you and guide you to where you understand what a Q4 is versus a Q3. I mean, these are the types of tools. By the way, you can turn that on and off. If it annoys you, if it doesn't help you, turn it off. But if it's a help to you and it helps you to be a better appraiser, turn it on. That's what Alamode can do for you. You can turn off these tools and these tips and these tricks and these abilities on and off depending on what you need. I love Alamode for that reason. They are very customizable. You can customize the software to work the way that you work. Go to alamode.com or call them. Folks, call them. Don't go to alamode.com. Pick up the phone because these people are knowledgeable. They will answer all your questions. It's 800-ALAMODE. That's 1-800-ALAMODE. I love DataMaster for the very reason that it allows me to do more with less. It allows me to be able to complete things the way that I need to have them completed. DataMaster will allow you to save 30 to 60 minutes per report, and DataMaster 6 is absolutely incredible. You can do almost an entire appraisal in DataMaster before you import it into your software, into the 1004 or the 2055 or the 1025 or the general purpose form. That's why DataMaster saves you time. Go to datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com to learn more. And we are sponsored today by Working RE Magazine. I remember years ago when UAD first came out, it was an email that I got from Working RE Magazine, and that happens more often than you would think. I learn what's going on in my own industry simply by watching my email. Working RE Magazine keeps me on track and keeps me knowledgeable as to what's going on in the world. It can for you as well. I know you don't have a lot of time to research, so just sign up for their free email. It's workingre.com. Again, it's workingre.com. We are back, folks. We're talking about UAD today, and I alluded before the break to talking a little bit about the mistake that a lot of appraisers make, and I think the mistake that this individual, and I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. What I'm trying to do is point out a common thing that a lot of appraisers are still doing even years after UAD. And what they're doing is they're trying to compare the comp to the subject. Okay, sounds pretty straightforward, right? That's what we do. As appraisers, we're comparing. That's why it's called a comp. It's comparable to the subject, right? And so what we're doing is we're giving the UAD ratings of quality and condition based on the specifics of the assignment. And we're saying, okay, the subject I'm looking at, and it's in average condition, and as compared to comp number one is obviously in good condition, okay? Here's the mistake that's being made. It's not a report by report problem or a report by report issue. It needs to be a comparable by comparable issue as compared to the standards. What Fannie Mae is trying to do, and by the way, I've already admitted it today. I'll admit it again. Okay, sorry, Fannie, love you, babe, but I don't like your UAD. Okay, there's a lot of reasons I don't like it, but I at least understand what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is to standardize the quality and the condition ratings. In other words, you need to look independently at each comparable based on the sale date. That's key. We're going to come back to that in a minute. And decide if it is a Q3, a Q4, a Q5, on down the line, right? There are 6 ratings. There's a C1 through C6, and there's a Q1 through Q6, right? My guess is that it's pretty far in between when you have either a C6 or a Q6. And it's not very often that I have a Q1, for example. There's some pretty high-end homes over in Jackson Hole that I appraise that every once in a while I find a Q1, but it's pretty rare. The point is, folks, that we're not supposed to be determining Q and C ratings based on our subject. We're determining Q and C ratings based on the standards. And the standards, by the way, should be in your appraisal reports. If they're not, you need to, okay? A la mode makes it very, very easy. Okay, you simply have to go to a la mode and go to the contents and pull in the form, what is it called? Well, it's the UAD definition form. Just type in UAD definitions and it's right there. It's a 2-page form and it has all of the definitions in there. Actually, it's a 3-page form because the 3rd page actually goes down to some abbreviations as well in the data set, okay? And it's a great way to help readers, especially homeowners who are not used to looking at appraisal reports. No, they're not intended users, I get it, but they will read your report, okay? And it's a very, very easy way for them to be able to understand what the heck is a Q5, what the heck is a Q2, what the heck is a C2, and what is a 2.1 bath, right? It explains those kind of things as well. So UAD is explained pretty well. Now, if you ever get confused and you say, you know, I'm looking at this comparable and I can't tell whether it's a Q4 or a Q3, go to the very page that's in your report and read the definition. Okay, read the definition. Let's do it together. A Q3 is dwellings with this quality rating are residences of higher quality built from individual or readily available designer plans in above standard residential tract developments or on an individual property owner's site. The design includes significant exterior ornamentation and interiors that are well finished. The workmanship exceeds acceptable standards, and many materials and finishes throughout the dwelling have been upgraded from stock standards. Okay, that's it. You go down to Q4, and I'm not going to read it to you, but you can read it yourself. You can go down to Q4 and read what that is, and it's very standard. Now, here's the problem I have with Q and C. They're trying to be standard, but there's still a lot of ambivalence. That's my problem with Q and C, right? There's still a lot of, what is a stock standard, for example, right? There's all of these words that are very much up to interpretation. What is readily available? What does that mean? In Jackson Hole, there's no such thing as readily available. Right. And so there's all of these things. It's like, okay, well, they're trying to standardize it and they think they do a pretty good job. It's usually pretty obvious what a comp is or what a subject is as far as quality and condition rating. And by the way, I don't go to these things very often because this is my job. On a daily basis, I'm making determinations on Qs and Cs, and you get used to what the definitions are. And usually in a very split second, you can look at a property and you know what the quality rating is and what the condition rating is, whether it be a comp or an actual subject that you might have walked through. You get used to what these things are and you get very good at determining. The point is this. The purpose of quality and condition is to apply them to the standard that I just read from, not how it compares to the subject. Now, your job is still to compare it to the subject and make adjustments accordingly. But your determination of the standard should be based on the standards themselves and not how it compares to the subject. Does that make sense? This individual, I think, was asking, hey, I used this comp, and in this report, it was a C3, but 2 weeks later, as compared to my new subject, my different subject, it's now a C4. Can I change it? That's a misunderstanding of what the C and the Q ratings are. They're supposed to be based on standards, and they will not change if the sale date is the same. Now, let me be very clear. If a home is purchased in January of 2018, and let's say it's in a Q4, let's say it's in a C4 condition, okay? Or maybe even, let's make this even more obvious. It's a C5 condition, okay? This thing's in bad shape. And a flipper comes in and they buy it in January for $150,000. And then they go through and they put another $100,000 in it, okay? It's now in let's say a C3 condition. Why? Because it was remodeled, it was updated, the systems were updated throughout. An extensive remodel took place to bring it from a C5 to a C3. And let's say they put it on the market and they sell it in June. So it's sold in January, same address, sold in January 2018, sold again in June 2018. There's no need for an explanation, though you might put one in there when you, down at the bottom below the grid, when you report the prior date. Remember, you have to go back and you have to look at the prior date of the sale. This has been within a year, so you definitely need to report that. Okay, that, and then down below that, there's a little paragraph on the 1004 form that talks about the analysis of the prior sales. Do you remember that little section? It's a little section we skip over all the time because who cares? I'm kidding. Okay, it's kind of important. The section is called Analysis of Prior Sale or Transfer History of the Subject Property and Comparable Sales. So if you've got a previous sale, you're supposed to write it down, and then you're supposed to analyze it and talk about it below that, okay? So in that case, you can say, hey, yeah, I'm using it in July. It sold in June, okay, for $300,000. But it sold previously for $150,000 in January. Yeah, you better believe my boots. I'm going to explain that, right? I'm going to analyze that. And why is it? Well, it was an extensive remodel, blah, 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 blah. And you've got a difference now between a C5 and a C3. Same address, different comparable. Are you following me? Okay. In other words, you can very much change that C rating without a whole lot of explanation because obviously things have changed. It's not that new information has come to light, as we pointed out in the previous discussion. It's that it's a different sale. It is a different sale date. It is a different sale. It's a different house. Same address, okay? Different house. Are you following me? Not really, but kind of, right? It's a different house because it's been remodeled. Therefore, you can easily put a new C or Q rating on that thing with a little bit of an explanation, okay? What you are going to run into problems with is if you have the same address, same sale date, and a different Q or C rating without an explanation. And the only thing that I can think of in that situation, again, this is your time to comment. Please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. But the only thing I can see of happening is more information came to light. You now know more than you knew before. And as a consequence, you are under obligation to report the information that you knew, that you now know, that you didn't know before. And if that means you change your C rating on the same sale date for the same quote-unquote comp, then you need to explain that, but it is possible to do. Hope this has been helpful, folks. Speaking of helpful, we give all kinds of tips and tricks and ideas on how to be a better appraiser and a better appraiser business owner right in my Appraiser Academy. Every month we meet online, live, in person. It's also recorded in both audio and video format and sent out the same week that it's presented. But you have an opportunity to jump on and ask your questions and improve your business. We're taking appraisers to the next level. We're allowing them to bring more money home to their homes, to their families, to their loved ones. That's what we're all about at the Appraiser Academy. Check them out. Go to theappraisercoach.com/memberships.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Ornamentation ornamentation.